She is all over the map, not only teaching classes, doing memorials, weddings, counseling, but she always has a smile on her face. When I'm at the point of crying and screaming and yelling, she just very gently smiles at me to let me know it's all going to be okay. But she does that to thousands and thousands of people every year. I don't know where she gets the wonderful, wonderful ability to do this. I think she's truly an angel here on earth. Please welcome Reverend Janet Child.
Well, Reverend Dottie is definitely one of my angels. And so I would love to come out here.
I'll do it.
And so is Reverend Corky.
Oh, thank you.
Because our copier broke at work. And I said, could we get these little handouts for grief in the holidays and surviving the holidays? And she said, we'll do it if we have to do it one copy at a time.
And thank you to...
I think she said she'd do it or she could break into Eileen's office.
Well, I had to wait for Eileen to
Supposed to be our
get...
secret. And I invite us to just take a nice deep breath. Just allow yourself to be here. To be here in the loving community, this loving circle of healing, power, light, and comfort. This season can be a very challenging one, and it can also be a season of incredible joy, a re-reminder, as our beautiful Margaret's song said, of the love that is underneath it all when we gather together in fellowship. And that's what surviving stress in the holiday season is about. It's getting to that essence. It's getting to that very core of what the holidays are all about. Because the message in every holiday, starting with Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, starting with the holidays that begin in September, right on through the holidays that continue through January and February. It's all about what? What's the four-letter word?
Love.
Love. And let's just sing it together. Love. And just feel that. Feel that resonate in your being. In every cell of your body. It's about returning to love. And to do that, something that I often tell my dear friend, who takes care of so many other people, our wonderful Lee, is this. To do that for others and to experience that love, we need to what? First, be gentle with ourselves. Thank you. That's the message I want you to take away from today. You and I, all of us, need to be gentle with ourselves. When we're going through grief, when we're going through family challenges, which are intensified during the holiday season, aren't they?
Yep.
Yes. Everything is intensified.
Yep.
The joy and the grief and the struggle and the choices that we make. And I want you to know, my friends, that before the holidays really kick in, we have personal choices we can make. And if we do that in consciousness, what it brings to us is first validation for our grief. Because in order to claim the joy, we first have to acknowledge our grief. And when we do that, it's powerful, the healing that can happen. I worked with a dispatcher down in Southern California who had been sexually abused by her stepfather. When she was a young woman, she tried to tell her mother about it, and her mother refused to acknowledge it. She found out while she was in my class that her daughter, who was staying with her mother, was in the presence of this stepdad. And she went into immediate mother protective mode and said, Janet, I'm going to miss part of your class. I'm sorry, I have to go and make sure that my daughter's taken out and that she's safe. And I said, absolutely. And what was very interesting is Norma Scarf has a part in the story. So she was saying that, you know what, my mother and I have struggled to have a relationship. We don't always see things eye to eye. But she said, again, I brought up to her, this situation that happened to me when I was a young girl. And her mother said, I don't believe you. He's not capable of doing that. So what she did was she said, Janet, this is about me, isn't it? It's about how can I be gentle with myself? How can I take care of my little Amanda? Okay, how can my adult, because my mom can't be the adult right now, how can I take care of little Amanda? And so what she did is she wrote a letter to little Amanda, and she said, I'm going to create a circle of people around you to support you, both mothers and fathers. And she created her matrix, and I got to be one of her aunties. Okay, so she created the circle of support around little Amanda, wrote her a letter, wrote her mother a letter, which she ended up not sending. And she went to Toys R Us for her action step, and she got a stuffed animal for little Amanda. So she texted me a couple of days ago. This happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And in the process, when I was working with her, doing critical incident stress management, I had on Norma's beautiful scarf, which I loved. I just loved the scarf. It was like a gradated blue, turquoisey, wonderful scarf. And she needed the comfort of that scarf around her. And so I put it around her. And so she said, I feel the warmth in the scarf. And I said, it comes from a mother. And I said, we're going to give you our mother energy. So she has that scarf now. So she texted me. And she said, Janet, my mother apologized.
Wow.
My mother apologized. Now, I want you to hear how that happened. It didn't happen with her repeatedly confronting her mother, did it? What she did, though, was positive action steps to take care of herself. What was her first action step that she did?
Came to you.
She came to me. I didn't think about that, but she did. She came to me and told the truth. So she acknowledged the elephant in the middle of the room. What was the second thing she
She wrote a
did?
letter to herself.
Even before that,
Before that.
Amanda, she talked to her little one.
she got her little one out of that dangerous environment, didn't she? She mobilized support. She got protective of her daughter and got her daughter out of there, didn't she?
Yeah.
And it was wonderful because her fiance was able to take her daughter and get him connected with his mom, so she was able to be in a safe place. Then she wrote the letter to her mom, right? But she didn't say, then she told her mom. She told her mom, and through all this is what happened to me. I don't want it to happen to my daughter. And her mom first refused it. Then she wrote the letter to herself, saying the adult Amanda is going to take care of the child Amanda. Then she called upon what? All of us. Because we can't do this alone, my friends. This is very difficult to do the holidays alone. Again, I'm going to call back to Margaret's song. The stovetop Thanksgiving, the car top Thanksgiving, the car hood Thanksgiving. We all came together in community and made that happen. Otherwise, poor Margaret would have been stuck with just
The rolls, yeah.
just the casserole.
Right.
The green bean casserole. Okay. So the reason I'm sharing this story, my friends, is it's the most powerful one that I can think of right now. To demonstrate to you how we can take control and choices over the holiday season. Because when we do, it first requires that we acknowledge what's going to be hard during the holidays. Now, we're kind of taught to do what? We're taught
Take care of everybody else.
take care of everybody else.
And smile.
And smile. This is huge. In our Anglo-American society, we are taught to smile.
Grin and bear it.
Grin and bear it. Even though we might be very unhappy, we're not allowed to cry. It's one of the reasons I love the Hallmark station, believe it or not. And BET also does a wonderful thing on holidays. They have wonderful programs and special programs and movies, that are touching during the holidays that allow us a chance to cry. Actually, they have very moving stories that give us a chance to cry. So we're not allowed to cry. We're not allowed to acknowledge what's difficult about the holidays. When you were talking about your group home and the difficulty, the highest, the feelings of being suicidal, that's going to come up during the holidays because we feel out of control and we feel isolated. Those are the two things that make stress and grief worse. When we are in control and when we are in community, our stress level goes down. Even though the outer situation might not have changed at all, we have changed the way we respond to it. So what I offer you to do as I'm talking is just meditate a little bit upon the expectations that you have, first of all, for yourself this holiday season. Secondly, what are some expectations that others might have of you this holiday? And thirdly, what are you most dreading this holiday season? What's the task or the expectation or the obligation that you are most dreading? Now, I'm even acknowledging, my friends, that we could take something we most dread and then problem solve it with personal choice in place and say, okay, maybe I do have to be over to my relative's house that I'm not particularly fond of. But instead of staying there for 8 hours, I could stay there for 45 minutes.
Woo!
That's the kind of choice I'm talking about. I'm not saying that we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not saying that we have to just totally say, well, forget you all, I'm just going to take care of myself and eat bonbons on the beach. Although that sounds good. But what I'm talking about and what we can do together is actually help each other problem solve during the holiday season about what's the most difficult. And when we talk about it beforehand, it's addressing that elephant in the middle of the room and saying, what can we do to gently take care of that elephant? Instead of waiting for the elephant to take a dump, because that's going to happen. We're going to have a stinky elephant on our hands if we don't, acknowledge it. And so personal choices in crisis. I worked with a family where the son died by suicide. And the two parents had another son that was coming back from college. And they were really torn because they had always, with their younger son, had always put up the Christmas tree. And the son would help the dad with the lights, and the son would help the mom with the ornaments. And they said, we just can't do a tree this year. It's impossible. Well, their surviving son, wanted a tree. So, how do we problem solve? It's all about negotiation, and it's all about compromise, and it's all about saying, what can we do to make it a little bit different? What can we do to tweak it to make it a little bit different? So what they decided to do was, and I thought this was brilliant, is the wife put on the ornaments with a neighborhood boy that was kind of like a second son to them. And then the husband put on the ornaments. Now, was it as beautiful as it had been in past years? Because both of them were doing tasks they weren't used to doing. Maybe not, but what was it for that family?
It was done.
It was done. They felt so happy that they could provide this for their surviving son, and they did it in a way that caused them the least amount of pain and actually brought new meaning. Because this young man who they asked to help had been secretly suicidal himself.
Whoa, wow.
And when he was asked to do this for them, it empowered him enough to say, I do make a difference in the world. I can bring healing. And I can live my life. Is that amazing?
That is
I mean, it
amazing.
gives me chills every time I tell this story.
They built a new tradition.
They built a new tradition. Because it will never be the old normal, will it? It will never be the old normal, no matter what we do. So I invite you to just think about, what do I most dread? Either internal expectations or external expectations. This holiday season, what can I do to make it different? What can I do to switch it around so that it gives me more energy than it takes? And that's kind of our bottom line evaluation of any action that we do during the holidays. Does it take more energy than it gives? If it does, let it go this year. You can always pick it up next year. Or the other thing is, if it gives you more energy than it takes, how can you do it so it gives you the most energy? How can you do it so it gives you the most energy? So the Light of Light ceremony, for me, gives me far more energy than it takes. I am moved and just, embraced by that ceremony every time we do it.
So are we.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, it's my favorite thing that we do at the Center for Living with Dying program is our Light of Lights, because it gives us all a way to come together in community, acknowledge our love that never dies. Even though our loved ones might have died physically, the love never dies. They're always in our heart hotel. Always. And we can celebrate that and be with that and take care of ourselves. So I'm going to offer you to think about that, feel about that, intuit about that. How can you do an action step that takes care of you this holiday season? And Dr. Eileen, would you mind if I shared what I just heard? So Dr. Eileen was struggling with the fact that her beloved son might not be able to make it back this holiday season because of truck breakdowns and such. However, another thing was said to her that really stuck with me. And it said, his desire to be with you is the love that we can take. Even if he doesn't physically make it here, his desire to want to come back to be with you is the love that we can take. It's the love that we can take. And so I want you to look for those little hidden pockets of love where you can find them. It may not be exactly as you pictured it, but it may be in those unrepeatable moments of love. Whether you're smiling at a person on the street, or you're having a conversation with a homeless person. And I have a couple of favorites on my way to work and, on my way, to my other, I have 2 offices that I work out of. And, whatever it is that you can do to find those pockets of love and comfort. And whether it's Amanda, my dispatcher, was saying, I've got my scarf wrapped around me and I wear it every day to work, and someone said, is that a new uniform? They said, you're wearing it all the time. She goes, no, this is my healing and protective scarf. So her sergeant, came up and he said, I've heard wonderful things about this healing scarf. And she said, yes, Sergeant, and sometimes I use it against you. No. Sometimes when you're being killed, I use it to protect myself. He goes, oh, okay. But what's wonderful about that is she's starting a movement, isn't she, in her communications center. She's starting a movement of saying, we deserve healing. We're first of the first responders. We deserve healing. We deserve to be able to help each other. And I have a sense that she's going to be starting a critical incident stress management team.
Yay! All right.
So just the action steps continue. And as you were sharing, April, I was so amazed. I was so happy when our prop passed. I was just singing in the streets. But I'm so amazed that, Santa Clara County is ready. They're at the ready. They're ready for the change. They're ready for that new elevation of spirit. So let's grab that moment and seize it and continue to do the action steps. Always returning, my friends, to being gentle
With ourselves.
Let's say that together. Being gentle with ourselves. Now what I'd like to do is ask our Reverend Corky, can we have that little handout, Sonny?
Sure.
I'd like to have them, because I'd like us to read them out loud. There are 12 steps for surviving the holidays, and I'd like for us to be able to read them out loud. Because they're very powerful, and after each one, I want us to just be able to absorb them and take them in and realize that, that we are... And Sean is handing out tools for coping, which is a great handout for just tools for coping when you're dealing with any kind of change and loss. And we may have to share, depending on how much our cutie pie is able to print for us.
I gave you these. What did you put? The ones that are the ways to survive the holidays?
They're being passed out, I believe.
No, I don't think so.
No, this
No,
is the tool.
I don't know.
Tools for coping.
Tools for coping we're passing out.
There was another page. Was there something else, Jim?
Yeah, ways to survive the holidays.
Yeah. Where's those?
Did I take them?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta watch me every minute.
We go one year like a hawk.
Yeah, like a hawk, that's right.
I don't see them anywhere. Am I?
I handed them to you.
Yes, and I handed him to her.
And then you handed them to her.
No, that's not the right, that's not the right.
Are they still in the printer?
Okay. Oh, there they are.
Aha, here we are.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. All right, my friends, pass these out.
We can share. We'll share them.
All right, who would like to read our first one?
It's like, who would like to? And she hands it to me.
Acknowledging that there is no magical solution for eliminating the pain you are feeling.
Let's breathe that in. There's no magical solution, but we can take it step by step, moment by moment.
Except that you have a definite limitations this year, and that is not wrong, it just is.
Whoa! It is not wrong, it just is. Excellent. Who's our third one? Yes.
Realize that you must look at your true priorities and determine what is truly meaningful for you and your family and friends.
Yes. So getting right down to the essence of the meaning. What will give us the highest meaning quotient? You know, I often talk about petable quotient when it comes to clothes, you know. This is meaning quotient. How much meaning can we squeeze out of it? The more meaning, the better. Excellent.
Give yourself permission to let go of the shoulds and the have-tos this year.
Whoa! Let's say that again.
Give yourself permission
To let go of the shoulds and have-tos
this year.
Woohoo! Yes.
Many changes in your life are painful and unwelcome, and you are entitled to grieve over them. Give yourself permission to do so, and then try to see if some of the changes can be transformed into challenges. The challenge is to survive and find a new approach to life, and this includes the holidays.
Whoa. Yes, yes, yes. Let's just breathe that in. Yes. Next one. Yes.
Should have memorized that, I lost my spot. Yes.
Number 6.
Oh, no, it's okay, know that it's okay to say no, I can't this year.
Okay, this is a very important one. I want us all to say this. Know that it is okay to say, no, I can't this year. Now, what we mean by that is that's the end of your saying it. You don't justify, you don't explain why you're not doing it this year, you don't go into the whole guilt trip, you know, pack your bags, Mabel, we're going on a guilt trip. No, you don't do that. You just say, no, I can't this year, and end of conversation.
Yeah.
And that way you're not drained of energy trying to explain your no. Excellent. Yes.
Release the guilt over what you cannot control this year.
Whoa, there we're back to it. That's the essence of it. Yes.
I'll read number 8. Make your needs around the holidays known to friends, family, anyone who may be able to provide support, especially emotional support.
Yes. Wow. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
What's our next one?
Try to find constructive things to do, at least some of the time.
And that's good. Be gentle with yourself when you can. You know, necessarily, it's not 24/7 that we can do it, but give yourself some constructive things. After my mother died, it was an amazing experience and you know, very sudden. And her birthday was on the 22nd, so it was yesterday, the 22nd of November. It was also that year on Thanksgiving. And so what I did was I worked at a soup kitchen. I didn't do Thanksgiving at all like I would normally do it. It was great to have that constructive change.
Number 10 is mine.
All right.
Remember, those around you are also struggling with their own pain. You are responsible for taking care of you, just as they are responsible for taking care of themselves.
Whoa! Did everyone take that in? Whoa, that's huge, huge. Because that goes to what are our expectations? That we take care of others first. This is actually the reality. We need to take care of us first.
I already know. Talk with family and or friends about personal choices. Sometimes exploring together can bring creative ideas about how to survive.
Yes. Together we can come up with some more creative ideas than if we try to figure it out all by yourself. And we're also working in collaboration, which means everyone's empowered.
Oh no, I was just thinking, we came up with that this time. My boys said, do whatever you want, Mom, and so I'm going to Boston Market.
I love it!
And they're supporting me. They're supporting me to do that.
Brilliant! Oh, thank you! That's perfect! Perfect!
In Boston.
All right. Who else?
Avoid overindulgence in alcohol or drugs. In the end, they only make matters worse.
That's for sure. Hallelujah.
Absolutely. And food. Any of our addictions, if we overindulge, it sometimes then creates a guilt cycle, which then makes it worse. Now, my friends, let's all read the last sentence.
If
Any activity takes more energy than it gives you, let it go this year. You can always return to it next year.
And I thank you, my friends, for being my community of love and healing, and let us support each other, and let us be gentle with ourselves.
Yay! Thank you so much.
What, you're all done?
Yeah. I thank you so much, Shannon. I forgot to give a blessing. I talked to a gentleman last weekend that many of you know by the name of Gene Hubbard.
Oh.
And so I said, well, do you know Janet Childs, and she comes to our church, and you know David. He kind of went, David, and I said, you know Paul? I know Paul. And I said, do you know Malcolm? And he goes, oh yes, I know Malcolm. Byron's partner, Gene Hubbard. I saw him last year.
Wow.
And so it was so neat for him to know where some of his friends had gone. And I talked about Corey, and I talked about people that Gene knew. And Gene just turned 80 years old, and so and he is so excited about life, and has one of the most gorgeous partners. Husband, I think. Who plays the cello in the Philharmonic in San Diego. And,